Just read the title. What is up, Finn fans? Putting this video out a little bit later because I put the recap video out last night. So if you haven't checked that out and you want to get my instant reaction to what I thought of that abysmal game, you can go and check that video out. That video has been out since about 12:30 last night. But we have to talk about a change. Now, let me give you a little bit of a history. In 2021, 2021, we started 1-7. And I think the second game we lost was I think we lost to the Jaguars and the Falcons, or it was the Falcons and the Jaguars. Irregardless. That's not the word. Regardless. Whenever we lost that second game to put us at 1-7, I was pissed. And I was just like, that's it. They got to go. I wanted Grier gone, and I wanted Flores gone. You can't have the amount of picks, the amount of money, the amount of decisions, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And again, a lot of people could be like, well, that was on Grier. Grier was making the decisions, yada, yada. It was on both of them. The dynamic between a head coach and a GM, it's both of them. They both were to blame. And in my opinion, back then, you can go watch the video. I wanted them both gone. The fact that Grier survived that boggles my mind, because that's a second regime that he survived as a GM, and a second regime that didn't win a playoff game and just mediocre and just constant bad moves, and a second regime. Now we're sitting here, right? Bring in Mike McDaniel, who wasn't my first pick. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I never wanted him. I never liked him. McDaniel sucks. Get him out of here. I was right from the beginning. Because no, the past 2 years, I was like, he knows what he's doing, blah, 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 this, and that. But if you go back, he wasn't my first pick. I was very iffy on McDaniel. I wanted a guy who had experience, but I also was very, very upset. You can go back. I think it was the video where I say fans deserve better. I was upset with how I don't know if pigeonhole is the right term, but they kind of limited their head coaching search because they were forcing the new head coach to keep Boyer and the defense. And also, you have to work with Tua, right? So the new head coach had to keep the defense, and you had to work with Tua. So they had to find a head coach that was willing to work with Tua Tagovailoa, and also was okay with keeping the defense and the defensive coordinator and all the coaches. That is going to take your net and make it very narrow to inexperienced young coaches that just want an opportunity. And they found that in Mike McDaniel, who never had coaching experience when it comes to calling plays or being a head coach, any of that. And that bothered the crap out of me, because when you bring in a head coach, they should have complete and utter control over what they like about Tua. Hey, you know what? I actually want to work with Tua. I think he can work here, here, and here. We just need to do this, this, and that with him. Defense wasn't good. Boyer's not my style. Let me change that. They should be able to have that complete and utter control. That wasn't given to McDaniel. That wasn't given to our search for quarterback head coach. And that hurt the search to be able to bring in someone like Brian Daboll, or not saying he's doing anything better in New York, but in that aspect where not to bring in a more successful coach, because he was an offensive coordinator in a successful offense with the Bills, versus McDaniel, who, again, had no experience. So Grier brings in McDaniel. And then Grier starts doing his thing, helping McDaniel. And again, this is where you need to realize something. And I know a lot of people, when it comes to Brian Flores, will say, well, Grier did this and Grier did that. And McDaniel has come out and said he focuses on the weapons. And if he had it his way, he would draft a pass rusher and bring a pass rusher in every year. And what has Chris Grier done for him? Tyreek, Jalen Waddle. Well, Jalen Waddle's already here, but Tyreek, Braxton Berrios, Odell, on and on with the weapons. Pass rushers, pass rushers, pass rushers. Not focusing on the offensive line. That's a problem. Now, again, it's a two-headed thing. I'm not going to just blame Chris Grier. I'm not just going to blame Mike McDaniel, just like back in 2022. I didn't just blame Brian Flores, and I didn't just blame Chris Grier. I wanted them both gone. What is the point of this 5-minute rambling? Doug, we're now sitting at 1-3. And your thought process at this point is, what games can we win? Because you just lost to a bad Tennessee Titans team. I look at the rest of our schedule, and I think to myself, Tennessee Titans are bad. They had a bad offensive line. They had a bad quarterback. The defense wasn't great. On the rest of our schedule, who's worse than the Tennessee Titans? I don't think the Patriots are worse than the Tennessee Titans. I don't think the Colts are worse than the Tennessee Titans. I don't think that the Cardinals are worse than the Tennessee Titans. I definitely don't think the Buffalo Bills are worse than the Tennessee Titans. The Rams are definitely not worse. Neither are the Raiders. Patriots again. Green Bay's not worse than the Tennessee Titans. The Jets aren't worse than the Tennessee Titans. The Texans, the 49ers, the Browns are not worse than the Tennessee Titans than the Jets again. So you're now looking at the rest of the season and asking yourself, if you cannot beat the Tennessee Titans at home with an extra day to prepare, and I will get to the quarterback situation, don't you worry your pretty little heads. How are you going to beat any of the rest of the teams that you now have to face? You now have to face 13 other teams, technically. Hold on, I'm doing math. 10, 12 other teams, because you got to face the Jets and the Patriots twice. And you have to beat them. When you couldn't beat the Tennessee Titans at home with an extra day to prepare. How do you think that is going to happen? And I am sitting here looking at you on October 1st thinking, I don't see it happening. Now, Tua will most likely come back on week 8 against the Arizona Cardinals, because from what I heard and from rumblings and stuff, he probably didn't really need to go on IR, and it was a PR move, and I kind of told you guys that. So he'll probably be back for that Cardinals game. Will him coming back change the offense? Will him coming back help with certain situations of what we dealt with last night? Maybe, because we only put up 20 points against the Jaguars, and the first half, or the first 2.5 quarters we were facing Buffalo, we were still struggling on offense. So will it? I don't know. So we'll see. Again, very doom and gloom, Doug, but at this point I am very upset with this team. Now you look at the team and the situation, right? We're going to start with the quarterback situation. And I'm going to do a little bit of an I told you so, but also try not to be too much of a boasting butthole. You look at quarterbacks around the NFL, right? Kevin O'Connell, this is from Matt Katana from PFN. He said, Kevin O'Connell lost his starting quarterback, and the Vikings went 4-0 with Sam Darnold. Matt LaFleur lost Jordan Love, and the Packers went 2-0 with Malik Willis. Shane Steichen lost Anthony Richardson on Sunday, won the game with Joe Flacco. Mike McDaniel is 1-6 without Tua. That is a problem. Now, does that mean it's because this offense is so predicated to Tua, or does it mean that this offense is so difficult to understand that you can't have somebody else come in? I don't think it's either of those. What I think it is they stuck with bad backup quarterbacks. Now, some people will say that's to feed Tua's ego, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. If that's the case, again, they should be fired for it, because that's not how you build a winning team. It's about depth. And you look at those teams. Sam Darnold, so far on the season, 932 yards, 68 completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Justin Fields with the Steelers, 830 yards, 70.6 completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he has 2-3 rushing touchdowns. Andy Dalton goes in for Bryce Young So far in the season, 2 games, 539 yards, 65.4 completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And that was against a Raiders team where he dropped 3 touchdowns, 3 or 4 touchdowns. Malik Willis, 324 yards in his 2-game appearance, 75.3 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 0 interception. And Joe Flacco on Sunday, 168 yards, 61.5 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. This is because these teams in the Minnesota Vikings, in the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the Carolina Panthers, in the Green Bay Packers, and in the Indianapolis Colts had a stipulation in there just in case their quarterback got hurt. I was telling people over and over and over again in the offseason of 2023, so not this past offseason, this offseason beforehand, you need to have better backups. We stuck with Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. I was very happy we signed Teddy Bridgewater at the time because I thought he was a very good, capable backup that can come in and help us if Tua can't stay healthy. And unfortunately, he couldn't stay healthy, but neither could any of your other backups. So I learned from that mistake. Me, Doug, in New Jersey, in a studio with no coaching experience, with no GM experience, me learned from that experience and said, going into the 2023 season, God forbid Tua gets hurt, you need to have a viable backup that they can come in, Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, Malik Willis, Joe Flacco, and win you the games while Tua is hurt. So I threw out the names of Garner Minshew. I wanted Baker Mayfield, but obviously he was too good to be a backup, and he's doing fantastic with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I wanted Joshua Dobbs. I wanted all of these guys that you could plug in and they can win you games. And I had a lot of people say to me, well, Doug, in the NFL, if your starting quarterback goes down, your season's over. Well, I just raffled off 5 teams where their starting quarterback went down, and Sam Darnold has the Minnesota Vikings at 4-0. Jordan Love goes down, and you think that the Green Bay Packers season's over. Malik Willis has them at 2-0. If you are smart and you see how that pans out, you make the changes. But no. I'm a big dumb on YouTube who doesn't know anything about anything. Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel know more than me. They do. So they stick with Mike White, Skylar Thompson. And I was telling people over, and again, this is where I'm going to sound like a boastful butthole. I was telling people over and over and over again, Skylar Thompson, he has a problem. He's slow on his delays, yada, yada. And the pushback I got was, well, Skylar Thompson almost beat the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. No, he did not. Go back and watch that game. Those 2 interceptions gave the Buffalo Bills points. He was not good in that game. Well, that's because Jalen Waddle dropped the ball. That's because those passes were inaccurate and underly thrown. I was saying these things. And then me being a hopeful Finn fan, I'm like, prove me wrong, Skylar. Prove me wrong against Seattle, my man. Come on. Show me that you will do it. Show me that the system can be fed to anyone and they can be successful. And unfortunately, I was proven right. Just like when I was predicting that Mike White would be cut this year because he's not good, and knock, knock, who's there? He was cut. Why is it that this schmo in New Jersey can see these things and knows that these things need to be changed? Like, it's not a knock on Tua, but Tua had one good, healthy year. Fantastic. I didn't want to give him a new contract. Go back and look at it. Yes, you did. You were boasting and bragging about him getting a new contract. No. I told you guys he was going to get a new contract. But I also told you guys I didn't want to give him a new contract because I was very iffy and scared about being stuck with someone if they got hurt again. Well, he got hurt again. So again, a lot of people were like, hey, all offseason you were ranting and raving that he's going to get one and he deserves it. Go back and watch it. I said I was preparing you guys that it's going to happen. Everything I was hearing, he's going to get a new contract, and it's going to happen at this point. And it happened when I knew it was going to happen before it was open to you guys in the public for training camp. But they didn't prepare the team for the backups. And this was something that anyone with eyeballs in their head could see because we watched Mike White and Skylar Thompson in preseason suck. We watched Mike White and Skylar Thompson in minicamp, in OTAs, and in training camp suck. But they did not make a change. Now we're sitting in a situation where we now have had 3 different quarterbacks play, and they've all sucked. I was very hopeful that Tyler Huntley would play like he did against the Ravens and have his legs do more of a thing. But after watching him the other night, holy crap, is his throwing motion horrible, and you can't be trusted. We left 3 touchdowns on the field because he couldn't hit Tyreek Hill. He is crazy inaccurate. That's because of Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel not adding a viable backup. Again, I will say this one last time, and I will stop badgering it and playing the boastful butthole. But I was badgered and called names and said all these things about wanting a viable backup. Doug, if Tua goes down, the season's over. It doesn't matter how good. Why would you want a good backup? If any quarterback, and there's 5 examples of the starting quarterback going down and the backup helping them win. Matt Moore. You got to have good depth on a football team. So that's one thing why someone needs to go. Something needs to happen. You look at Chris Grier. To me, Chris Grier is the guy. If I'm Stephen Ross, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, especially watching Monday night where he was kind of like hiding, I'm firing Chris Grier now. Why? 9 years. He's been with the organization for like 20 years. Nothing has changed. The offensive line has been a problem for as long as he's been the GM. I think we had the unicorns in 2016. But other than that, it's been a problem under Flores, and it's a problem under McDaniel. And for him to come out and say, you're more worried about the offensive line than I am, is such a slap to our faces. Because it's another situation with anyone with eyes can see the offensive line, especially the interior of the offensive line. I saw Tyler Huntley take a quarterback draw and Liam Eichenberg just like standing there in his way as the defender gets like. Grier needs to go. That's the first thing I'm doing. I am firing Chris Grier because Chris Grier is too much of a not wanting to own up to my bad, this was a bad pick, and move on from it. Because that's Channing Tindall, even though I think he can be good, but at this point, you got to stop hoping and praying and add better players. Liam Eichenberg. There's all these guys where he's like, oh. They're not good. You need to move on from them. You got rid of Jeff Driscoll, who's actually doing well in the preseason, to add in to keep Liam Eichenberg at right guard, who's not good. You then decide, I'm not going to add anybody. There was some good, viable guards out there that we could have definitely still added. I'm going to stay with Robert Jones at left guard. I'm going to stick with that. He's not good. He was not good last year. And then your big spend is Aaron Brewer at center. Now, Aaron Brewer isn't the worst. Couldn't have been in more of a contact and more of a talk with Connor Williams to bring him possibly. Like, he needs to go. The amount of picks he used, the amount of money he used, the amount of years he's been with the organization, and the amount of years he's been the GM, and it's same year in and out, the same problems. This team struggles with depth. Absolutely struggles with depth. When Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are not on that field, or when one of them's on the field and they're getting doubled, there's no one else open because you focused too much on one thing. You don't add depth. You add Johnny. Oh, we'll get to this. We'll get to this. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're almost at 20 minutes, and I'm getting heated. But if I'm the owner of the Miami Dolphins, first thing I do is, Chris Grier, you had your time. I gave you so much rope to use to, help you out. You got to go. Just constantly helping here. Another year. Just keep giving you rope. You're giving you a lifeline, rope after rope of a lifeline. You got to go. Chris Grier's got to be fired. He's the first head I'm rolling. Then we get to Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, his first 2 years as the Dolphins head coach, right? Came in, took us to the playoffs year after year. And a lot of people say, well, Brian Flores did more with less. And you're not taking into consideration when you say that the amount of injuries that he coached on the defense last year and on the offense before. He dealt with a lot of injuries and the team still made the playoffs. Now, that's great, and that's what got him the contract extension. But a contract extension to a head coach doesn't mean that you're secure. Ask Joe Philman that, who got a contract extension and got fired the same year. Same thing with Tony Sparano, who got a contract extension. And the same year he got a contract extension because Stephen Ross went on a plane to go talk to Harbaugh, and then Harbaugh said, no, I'm going back to Michigan. So then he came back and he was like, hey, Sparano, yeah, I went and talked to Stephen Ross. I went to talk to Harbaugh, but that was nothing, man. Here's a new contract. And then come like week 13, he's like, hey, Sparano, can you come in my office real quick? You're going to be fired. But you just gave me a contract extension. I know. Enjoy that guaranteed money in your contract. Goodbye. So that doesn't mean that Mike McDaniel's safe. But Mike McDaniel is stubborn. I thought, hey, this young guy is going to come in. I'm going to give him a chance. Hey, he's doing good things with the offense. Offense is really good. Defense is kind of struggling here and there. The offense is really good. He will be able to do adjustments. He has not done any adjustments for 4 weeks. You would think after what happened in Buffalo, home versus Buffalo, you would start to adjust a little bit. But now, after putting up another embarrassing game plan on prime time against a bad team, now is when he sits back and says, "Oh, we need to really take a look at this team." Why do you wait so long? Why? Yeah. You watch this team practice. You had an extra day to prepare for the Titans. You watch this team practice. And with your own eyeballs, you're going to tell me that Tyler Huntley looked better than Tim Boyle? Because what I just saw on the field from Tyler Huntley was not better than Tim Boyle. And I'm not saying Tyler Huntley is bad. Maybe with more preparation, more time, more this, more that with these guys and the receivers and yada, yada, just maybe he would be better. But as of right now, in a game that you need to win to stay afloat, because as of right now, we're dead last in the division, you went with Tyler Huntley. Okay, let me give you the benefit of the doubt. You went with Tyler Huntley. First half didn't look good. We're only down by what, 6 points? I don't remember. Kind of blacked out. Ain't working. Tyler Huntley ain't working. His throws are off. Potential touchdowns were there. Underthrew him, threw him behind, all that stuff. It ain't working. Tim, you're going to go in the second half. Tyler, it's a little too much for you right now. You're not ready. We'll come back to that. Nope. You're going to trot Tyler Huntley back out, even though the broadcasters, me, you, everybody, the owner up in the booth, we all saw Tyler Huntley is struggling quarterbacking this offense. Did you not make it more simplistic for him? Possibly. Is he not ready? Yes. Like, there's so many things while you're watching that as a normal person, not the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, not somebody who has coaching experience for more than a decade, would know this ain't working. Put Tim Boyle in. He's been with the team a little bit longer. Not a little bit longer, but he knows the offense and he can throw the ball better. Yeah, we're not going to get the rushing, but they're going to have to respect the fact that he can throw it better. Because I know for a fact, I don't even know if I want to do a film breakdown tomorrow, but I know for a fact the reason why the defense all of a sudden started really controlling the game when we were on offense is because they weren't fearing Tyler Huntley throwing the ball because he sucked at it. And all we were doing was screen, 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 screen. You didn't put fear into the opposing defense because you didn't make a change. And that's his problems. Preparation for the team, play calling, situational awareness, adjustments, discipline. All of those are on the head coach. And he, for 4 weeks, decides, no, I'm not going to change anything. This should be working. Eventually they'll click. Maybe if we do it enough times, they'll get it. No. So what I would do, firing the GM, And at this point, as of right now, I'm starting to look for a GM. I know who I want, Louis Riddick. Will they bring in Louis Riddick? I don't know. Bring in your GM and then have your GM watch the team for the rest of the year. And if they pick it up and if they do well, and if Tua comes back and they continue to do well and they get successful and they make the playoffs, let the GM decide what to do with Mike McDaniel. Plain and simple. Let him watch Mike McDaniel for the rest of the year and let him decide. Do you like him? Do you like what he does? Is he changing? Is he evolving? Is his preparation, play calling, situational awareness, adjustments, and discipline becoming better? Or is it the same stagnant stuff that he's been doing for the past, and it's not just these past 4 games, it's the past 3 or 4 games last year after the Jets game. Is it the same stuff? And will he not change? And is this who Mike McDaniel is? Well, new GM, that's up to you to decide and what you want to do. That's what I would do with this team, because something has to change. And I'm not for one to give it another year. See what he can do with more time. Because it's the NFL. It's not for long. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. And if you're not evolving and changing with the times, you get stuck. We kept filming for an extra year, missed out on potential head coach candidates that are now really good. Same thing with Tony Sparano. Stuck with him a little bit too long, missed out on potential head coaching candidates. Also, Stephen Ross, maybe it's time to sell the team. Like, if I'm being 100% honest with you, because the reason we kept filming for an extra year, the reason we kept Sparano for an extra year, the reason that we kept Chris Grier for 9 years now is it's because of the owner. And I think it's time. I know you want to win. I know you throw a lot of money behind this team, and all of us Dolphin fans appreciate it. It's a beautiful stadium, beautiful racetrack. You do great things for the community. It's all out of your pocket, non-taxes. You have written so many checks to turn contracts into cap savers by making it signing, but we all appreciate it. But my man, I think it's time for you to sell the team. Because it's not working. It has not worked. And all of us Dolphin fans are just, I got something in my eye. It's like on my eyelash. Every time I blink, all us Dolphin fans are getting really sick and tired of dealing with this. Dealing with the heartache over and over and over again for 24 years. Something's got to change. And for me, I'm firing Chris Grier. That's where it starts. And then let the dominoes fall where they fall. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know if I want to do a film breakdown. Let me see what the last film breakdown did. I don't think you guys want to see a film breakdown. It's like, why? Why torture us? Why torture my eyeballs? Nah, you guys wanted to watch it. All right, maybe I'll do a film breakdown. See, when I look and you guys like watch it and I get views, then I'm like, all right, they like what I'm doing, so I'll continue to do it. It's just frustrating, guys. Very frustrating. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you all. Thank you for sticking. Thanks for watching. I know this is hard. I know this sucks. But thank you. I appreciate it. I put a lot of hard work into this stuff, and I want to keep you guys informed. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Like usual, stay classy. And fins up.